Hey guys, it's some weird paste here. If you thought I was done shit-talking this dumbass, I'm not. He released a video that's full of outrageous garbage and excuses to why not only the game has been taking forever, but why it looks like shit, why the code is unclean, etc. It's not because he's just shit at making games. No, of course not. It's because it's a V-slice.
If you're familiar with video games, you've probably heard terms like prototype, alpha, and beta to describe the stages of a game's development. However, there's another term that you might be unfamiliar with. It's called V-slice, short for vertical slice.
Now, what Yandere dev has done has committed virtual suicide. He has just admitted to the whole fan base, his whole subscriber base, that, hey, I haven't actually been working on a legitimate game. Get fucked. Nice.
Explain what that means. Imagine that you want to bake a cake, but baking a cake costs hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars, you say? You mean the money you actually have that you can put towards the game, but choose not to, instead waste it on whatever the fuck you do waste it on, like 20 years of Brazzers Premium or Pornhub Premium? I don't know. Whatever you do with it. But you certainly have not been using your Patreon money for any of the fucking game. Seriously, it shows. Half the game is not even developed. Come on.
So in order to bake that cake, you're going to need to get funding from investors.
About to go on a little bit of a rant here, but who the fuck is gonna want to invest anything into your game, Yandere dev? There's nobody out there who I could name would want to. Some retard like Sony or EA maybe wants to, but they're just like, oh, fuck it, it's a quick cash cow, let's do it. And then the game's gonna turn into shit, because EA and Sony have been producing probably the worst games ever, so good luck with that. Nobody's going to want to fund your game because everybody has seen the reality that not only is the game bad, you're bad, and your creation process is garbage. I'm going to skip past a few other parts because it just kind of covers investment stuff. Things you guys actually know. Like, 2-year-olds could understand this language, and he explains it like we're infants still in our mother's wombs. We're still kicking and pushing against the vagina. Like, come on.
That V-slice is the best way to describe what I've been building this entire time.
There's a few issues with this. If you go back through his videos, he says he's developing a game. Instead, now he's claiming that it's a V-slice to cover up the fact he's been doing his shitty job and how the game looks like ass and runs like ass. 19 frames on this computer is redundant. It's ridiculous. It shouldn't exist. You're making excuses. That's all you're doing.
Since the beginning of Yandere Simulator's development, I've always said that my plan is to hold a crowdfunding campaign to raise enough money to hire a team of professionals to help me finish the game.
Absolutely not. You did not ever say this in any video on your channel. And I will say, you had trained professionals come to help you, but instead, they left you because you were such shit. They hated you. They didn't want to work with you. Tiny Build offered to send somebody to help. They did. They saw your code was a wreck. They tried to fix it, but you said fuck off.
Disappointing the people who were supporting me on Patreon.
Disappointing Patreon? Okay, you've basically already done that.
I was terrified of disappointing my YouTube subscribers.
You certainly did that too.
By making them wait a long time between videos. And I was terrified of losing people's interest by taking too long to produce updates.
Yandere dev, what do you not fucking get about the fact you've lost everyone's interest? This game is a fucking meme. Everybody's like, hi, this game is shit, and it's never coming out. Hunt Down the Freeman is better. Seriously, I probably played this for maybe 10 minutes, and I already thought of playing Hunt Down the Freeman. That's how shit your game is. Come on.
I stuck to this routine for a very, very long time, but in order to achieve it, I used a lot of temporary art assets and slapped together each feature as quickly as possible, resulting in a lot of sloppy code.
More fucking excuses. Are you shitting me? No. We've discussed this. Your code is shit because you're shit at code. It's that simple. Admit it. You're not good at code whatsoever. I've looked at the code myself. It looks like garbage. And you know what? TinyBuild tried to help, but you denied it because you couldn't read the code because it actually looked good. So shut the fuck up, Yandere.
So I created a piece of software to demonstrate what the final product would be like for the purpose of raising enough money to fund the project using placeholder assets and inefficient code.
If you can find a video of him saying any of this, that he purposely used bad code, send it to me.
What's the word for that? V-slice.
Allow me to drop V-slice in just so my underage fans don't know what I'm talking about, you know what I mean?
Over the past 4.5 years, I wasn't consciously thinking of Yandere Simulator as a V-slice. But now that I'm looking at it critically, I realize that I've been in a V-slice mindset this entire time. So, what does this mean for the future of the game's development?
That it will not look at all like the good outcome that he expects. It will not do well on the marketplace, and it probably will not get good reviews. This is all I can say about that. There's no good future for this game.
Nothing. It doesn't change anything, really.
It majorly does, and if you were good at developing literally anything, you would definitely know this.
A V-slice is supposed to allow you to experience every feature of the proposed game. So in the process of finishing the V-slice, I will essentially be programming every feature the game needs and developing the first rival. A lot of code and assets will be placeholder, but that's what the crowdfunding campaign will be for. Hiring professionals to create higher quality assets and higher quality code for the final game. So I'll continue developing the game until I've created a satisfactory demo, then launch the crowdfunding campaign. No matter what the outcome of the campaign is, development will continue using the V-slice as a base for the rest of the game. Potentially, some of the core systems will have to be rewritten so that the code is as clean and efficient as possible.
Oh, I see. You're admitting failure. That's what it is. You're getting somebody else to work on the game because you know you can't do it your fucking self. You're admitting failure at this point. You said this was going to be a single-person developing game. You've lied. He's talked about just him being the developer. Except, no, he's not. He's got retards at work that he refuses to give credit to, and all this other shit. Okay? Come on, Yandere.
However, it's not as though we'll have to start from scratch and remake the entire game. In short, my plan is exactly the same as it's always been. So, if this doesn't change anything, why am I making a video about it?
Because not only are you an attention whore, you really want a pity party. You want everybody to jump on board and say, oh, he's had it so rough. Oh, Yandere dev? That guy has it so tough. Making games is difficult. It is, but how you're making it is making it more difficult on yourself. You're a fucking idiot. That's why. And I hate to be the one to say it, but you are downright Down syndrome cancer balls.
Well, now that I've introduced you to the concept of a V-slice, it will be a lot easier to explain a few things. If you open up Yandere Simulator and look at the scripts, you can find examples of code that isn't clean or efficient. This is because I was writing the code as if I had 3 guns pointed at my head.
No, Yandere, no. You never had 3 guns pointed at your head. If you had 3 guns pointed at your head, you would have explained to people, hey, I'm doing stuff, stop pointing guns at my head so I can do such and such. You do not need to rush your progress. The slower it takes, the better it could come out. However, you're making it slow because you're doing bumfuck whatever on the side and making useless updates. That's why. As for the code, I've already explained everything about that. Fuck you, simulator. God damn.
And wanted to push out updates as quickly as possible. I guess you could say my objective was to build a plastic replica of a slice of cake, not to bake a real cake.
You should have told people you were making a V-slice and not an entire game, you fucking retard.
With that said, if I was to make a video titled, "The Top 10 Biggest Mistakes I Made While Developing Yandere Simulator," the V-slice mindset would definitely be one of them. It was a huge mistake.
This whole entire fucking game is a huge mistake. Excuse my language throughout this video, but this is just kinda pissed me off. He tries to get away with it and say, "Oh, I'm sorry guys, this messed up code, not my fault, it's your fault. I'm dumping everything on you. You guys had guns pointed at my head." No, you're an idiot. That's why.
To let these three things dictate my priorities.
They don't dictate your priorities. Really? You've got to be shitting me. How do they dictate your fucking priorities? I want to hear it. Tell me how they dictate your priorities. Oh my god. Seriously, tell me now.
Rapidly slapping everything together in a haphazard way.
Of course, no fucking explanation why. Oh, I just slapped some shit together and said it was a V-slice, you know? They'll believe me, right? No, no one's taking that fucking excuse. Nobody's going to invest in this project. It's not how life works, Yandere Dev. Drop it. Just admit it.
Changing this to this only takes like 30 seconds.
No, Yandere Dev. I've toyed with code. It does not take 30 seconds. It takes a while to perfect and make sure it has no flaws. There is no way you're getting away with just saying, "Oh, code is easy, it's shit."
Ideally, the crowdfunding money will be used to hire a professional programmer to completely replace me as the game's lead programmer. So even if you don't have faith in my coding skills, you shouldn't be worried.
Yandere, there's been like no stress on you at all. You realize that not only has half the programming been done by you and done very shittily, nothing else was done. Director, sure. Yeah, that's you. Producer, I don't even know who's fucking doing that. People are making shit for you. You're only doing the code.
Because the plan is to have someone replace me anyway.
Wait, what? Somebody's replacing you? You mean there's not going to be a shitty developer behind this game and it could actually be good? Yandere Dev, what are you doing? What am I supposed to make fun of? What am I supposed to get views off? What the fuck? You're just dumping it? Really? Come on. Boy.
Because the V-slice is supposed to represent the quality of the final game.
No, it isn't. It's basically something you can just throw away and then rewrite the whole fucking game. You realize that, right? That's kind of how V-slices work. You know, like you just said 5 minutes ago.
It would be unacceptable if the frame rate was low.
It always has been low because of your shitty coding. You knew this and you didn't fix it at all.
As a result, improving the game's frame rate is one of the criteria for completing the V-slice. There is a myth that Yandere Simulator's current frame rate is the result of its code. As long as we're talking about the subject, I should probably clear up that misconception.
Yandere Dev, have you lost your fucking mind? Yes, it is because of the code. The code makes up the whole fucking game. What else slows down the game besides the code? There's literally nothing else that could. The code is the whole thing. It's the platform. If that's not stable, the frame rate's not stable. Your code is shit, resulting in the shit frame rate. I've discussed this. Come on. You're not helping yourself.
The game engine that I'm using to create Yandere Simulator is called Unity. Unity comes with a powerful tool called the Profiler, which allows us to see exactly how long the CPU takes to process every aspect of the game. Using the Profiler, we can see that the biggest problem affecting the frame rate is rendering.
Rendering is the problem. You have to have some big-ass game to get rendering to cause extreme issues such as shit frame rate. If you look at games such as Universe Sandbox, that causes lag because of the extreme rendering, because it's such a fucking big game. Yandere Simulator's not at all big. The rendering can't be the issue. It doesn't make any sense at all.
The scripts that affect the frame rate the most are the plugins I'm using for pathfinding and for displaying the game's graphical user interface.
Pathfinding doesn't even make sense if that's the problem. They have the most simple pathfinding in that game ever. Play through it, you'll see what I mean. As for the other one, it seems just like more shitty excuses trying to cover up that he's bad at coding, to be honest.
The next script that actually has an impact on the game's performance would be the script that governs student behavior.
Yes, Yandere, but all of those that you mentioned not only are excuses, but even them would still relate to the code. It still jumps back to the code, even if you try to change it. Unity runs off the code.
But only because there are 100 of those scripts running simultaneously.
Once again, it's given what is coded, and it puts that through. Do you not know? If you code 100 things to run simultaneously, it will cause frame rate lag. Come on!
And even 100 of those scripts aren't actually having as much of an impact on the game as physics or animation.
There is no complicated physics or complicated animations in this game. This is as well an excuse. I understand what you're doing. Stop. I kinda just cut off the rest of the video here because I didn't exactly want to show the rest where he was trying to throw a pity party. He's like, oh, Patreon, other things. The code isn't the problem. Even though it most blatantly is, the person who worked at TinyBuild even said that the code was the problem because it was such an uneasy mess. Yeah, you kind of see where I'm going with this. Seriously, this is just bad on his part. Because there's so many problems with the game, yet he kind of refuses to fix them. The mirrors and the TVs, those have little to no impact on the game. Even if they're using cameras, that can't really impact the game. There's games like VR Chat that do almost the exact same thing, and yet they run flawlessly. And even then, the cameras and the TVs are run through code. So, you know. See you guys later.